Hi, you're
Hi.
listening to. Oh, it's Matt. Hey, what's up, Matt?
Sorry. Are we recording?
Wait, I think we're recording,
All right, start over.
but we're recording the Jaunty Mantis, a
The what?
podcast. The Jaunty Mantis.
The Jaunty Mantis. What is that?
It's like an inside joke that we came up with a long time ago. It's a podcast of creative questions for curious gamers. What have you been up to in tabletop in the last
Uh,
5 or 6 months?
Not much. Can I really just talk about my week, in gaming?
Sure, sure. Tell me about your week in gaming.
Jesse, have you ever had a moment where one of your characters is staring you right in the face and they reach up to you and they say, "I am not what you made me. I am something more." And you didn't realize it.
Mm.
Untapped potential in a character. That's what happened to me. And it started with something that we do on the Jaunty Mantis in our gaming group, which is create a playlist for our character.
I
And I
still need to make mine.
and I'm looking forward to yours. I made a playlist for my character and it changed the character.
I mean, I think that's the potential of doing playlists as a character. I don't think the playlist is going to change Boomtown significantly. I think it's just going to double down on the tropes I'm doing because I'm like, the first song that I want to do for it is like Butterfly Kisses.
Hmm.
Like, because his whole bit is like, he's got a 3-year-old daughter who's out there in the apocalypse, and he's like, duty, but then also, oh my God, my family. So, like, I don't know.
If for the listener, it's a Rifts Chaos Earth game, which is a complete role playing game.
Hmm.
Just so you know.
It's 2 days after Christmas. The apocalypse is 5 days old. We're in rural Arkansas in tunnels underground from the Tamazon delivery system.
Yeah.
Pat's killing it when
Yes.
when he can
Patrick.
be bothered to prepare.
Mr. Patrick is
Shots
doing an
fired.
amazing job as a GM. I've really enjoyed the session that I've been in so far.
It's weird because I know he listens to the podcast, so it's weird that I just shots fired at him a second ago. But also, like just hearing him do stuff we've talked about on the show, it's
Oh,
just
like what?
like I mean, just some of the way he thinks about time, or like the thing when like the fight, and he's just like, "You guys have got this fight. You want to just advance the story?"
I
Like
loved it.
I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, cool. Like there we go." Like there's just some habits I've seen him do that I'm like, I think he picked that up from Matt, or I think he picked that up from me, and
Oh,
like it's
wow.
cool. It's like you'll notice it when you get some more sessions in.
Yeah, I
But he's
absolutely
doing a great job.
appreciated. I absolutely appreciated many things that Patrick was doing in the game. And when he was like, "Hey, you guys are going to win this fight. Do you want to just skip ahead?" I was like, "Why isn't this an option in more role playing games? Why
Hmm.
isn't this like baked into the book?" I don't know why I said that. That's not a thing you do with books. Why isn't this written into the rules of gaming books where it's like you put this on the table? Hey, you guys are gonna win this battle. You know, how about we just call it here and we skip ahead? You killed the motherfuckers.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my gaming week. How's your gaming week been?
Well, it's funny you should mention it not being written in the rule book because it is written in a rule book. I
You're
can't believe I
pointing to
did that.
Vampire.
The Masquerade, yes, Vampire the Masquerade, which I did a session 0 for my Galveston game.
Oh, the
It's
Galveston game.
happening. Yes, I'm super psyched. They have come up with some really, really interesting characters with some interesting choices of clans, and have they made their coterie. So they picked like what their domain is, what they have their stakes to fight for. They have a creepy, overgrown like haunted mansion basically right by the pleasure pier in Galveston, and that is kind of their hunting ground. They just lucked into it. But other people will be coming for their neck. Lauren, the Beast, who's been on the show. Lauren, you're a
Hmm.
wily adversary, and I respect you. Yeah, Lauren has made a Stephanie Meyer pastiche character who wrote like mildly successful teen supernatural vampire romance who was punish embraced by a Nosferatu. I'm super excited about that. Like we've got a like fierce steely college teacher historian who's like 45 or was, and now she's a vampire. We got a like a scene e-girl who's gonna start a blood cult. I'm pretty fun. That one is played by Mark, who's also been on the show. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then we got a Ventru who's that's his first game, and he's got a cool story. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. And yeah, I don't know.
Awesome. I
I
can't wait to
was
hear about it.
I was nervous and had a number of high gravity beers. So like Jordan, I'm sorry I left out your character concept, but I will pick it up.
Why were you nervous? You do role playing shits all the time.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I'm really, really excited about this one. This is a bucket lister of a game. And
Mm.
there's a lot going on. Like I made laminated like mechanics sheets. And like, I'm thinking from my former teacher career, just like, okay, we're going to go through character creation. I'm going to hand out the laminate things to explain the basic dice mechanic. So how what they put on their character sheet will add up to this. I'm like, okay, now you've got that. Okay, guys, put those aside. Here's the character sheets. And yeah, there's just some cool things going on in that game too. Like it's got the classic White Wolf, like physical, mental, and social attributes. But they've been doing this thing in recent years where there's three of them. I know it's been a long time since you did an exalted character or anything.
Yes.
There's like three attributes in each one of those categories. And now they have it down to like one is the power, one is the finesse, and then one is like your resistance. So
Okay.
you have like your physical power, your physical finesse, and your physical resistance, and your social power, your social finesse, your social resistance, and then your mental power, mental finesse, and mental resistance. Those like three ways to do things, like power through, finesse it, or like tough it out. And then I think lets you have approaches to how you do things. But
Cool.
it in the combat section, it has like 3 and out as a suggested default for combat. After 3 rounds, you know who's going to win. So just say
Interesting.
this person wins. There we go.
Yeah, it's a weird confluence of like how fun could the game be if it's trying to get you to stop playing a part of it, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like that's I've been thinking about this topic a lot. I mean, this could be a whole subject for an episode of our podcast about tabletop role playing games, because we have questions about this kind of stuff. But how much of these things should be in a game? Like how much combat should there be? Combat is such an essential part of a role playing game, in my opinion. And you have games like I listened to your guys' 4th edition D&D episode. It was fucking fantastic.
Well, thanks.
Um, and it made me think like combat is the it thing in that game.
Yeah.
It's the primary thing that they are it's the hallmark of 4th edition.
Yeah,
So
my
it should
nonsense
take a long
about
time.
like it's the area where the most conflict is likely to happen. So there's rules. No, for 4th E, like combat is what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
It is a tactical, small scale combat simulator in large part, and that's fun.
But if you had other elements in it that simulated the same combat aspects, I don't think that would make the game better. And I'll give you an example. If you said, okay, supposedly there's 3 pillars in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the social pillar and I'm going to recreate all of the combat abilities for all social encounters. And I'll give you just like a basic bare bones example. In 4th edition, as you know, there's powers that, you hit, deal damage, and then you can shift a certain number of squares, or you can pull an opponent a certain number of squares, right?
Yeah.
So what if you did a social encounter where you uh, instead of shifting physically in a battlefield, you're shifting people in in a initiative order
Yeah, or you
of
have like a
the
grid of like
conversation.
support, or like a,
Yeah,
you write the goal at the top and you shift people towards or away it with.
right.
Yeah,
Or
no, I get what you're saying.
instead of push pulling, you're raising or lowering certain parts of certain DCs that are in this social encounter. And we're not talking about just a conversation between two people. Or I guess you could if it was like a really important, intense conversation. But like let's picture like a negotiation table, where high stakes, right? And you're like, I'm going to use these combat powers and I'm reskinning them into a social environment. And then what I've been thinking about is like, would that be fun or would that make the game worse? And
I
I
mean,
think it would make the game worse.
I think it depends on what the players expect out of the game. If they want a small scale tactical game of like manipulating people's feelings, then I think that'd be fun. Like if they're not looking for that,
Sociopath
yeah, if there's
RPG.
sociopathy. I mean, they're all sociopathy in a sense. It's sociopathy all the way down. Have you ever met the characters? Like, when they're not reaching out to you from like a playlist, be like, I'm not thought I was. I'm more, Father, more. Yeah, no, I think like there are systems out there that definitely like have the social conflict, have a mechanical system. Vampire is one of them, but in this case, I feel like the default vampire combat is brought to be more in line with the social conflict resolution system rather than taking the social resolution system and tuning it up to work just like the combat. Because, like, all the tactical turn-based combat, different weapon damages stuff is optional add-ons in the vampire rulebook.
Yeah.
Like combat is basically like, what do you want to do? Well, I'm going to try and avoid getting hit. And like, okay, he's going to hit you. You roll off against each other and then just narrate whatever the result of that die roll is.
Yeah.
Social conflicts the same way. What do you want to do? I want to convince everyone that this guy's an idiot. What does he want to do? He wants to convince them that you're a braggart. Okay. Well, you argue in front of the court for 3 hours, make your rolls, and then
Right.
he wins, and then we narrate that. So, because it doesn't have that strict, like it frees it from that very strict old school, a turn is 5 seconds, and during this you may take one action and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And that's where I'm going with that. It's like combat takes the flow of the game and drastically slows it down time wise. Roughly speaking, a round is 6 seconds. That's what it is in D&D. And it's like, I really don't think you should be doing that with social encounters. And I've been thinking a lot about how social encounters should function completely differently in a role playing game. So instead of doing moves, instead of making skill rolls, to be like, well, you're trying to convince, because you and I have said many times on this podcast in the past that, there's multiple things wrong with social encounters, right? Just having the ability to make a roll to make somebody do something that they wouldn't normally have done doesn't make sense. There's a guard and I
And
need to get
again,
through. And
though, I will say that like a lot of people, especially of our generation of players, play it that way. But I don't think that's ever been rules as written. Like in any
okay,
D&D, it's never been mind control when you succeed on your diplomacy
but
check.
that's how it's been treated, though.
Well, that's how
Like,
players do it, yes, because
yeah.
we want to abstract it, and you get lazy, and you're like, maybe we get to the next fight. I mean, there's lots of reasons for it, but I think that's a player issue rather than an issue of the game itself. And I
Well,
don't know that the game, if we're going to gloss over rules as written for that part, is a thing that can fix it.
yeah. Well, I think you're making my point for me. I think we agree on this, because I think you have to change then based on what you're saying. I think that we need to change the perception of how we think of social encounters in games if they aren't clearly defined by the game itself is kind of why I'm thinking it, like, so that's the kind of things that have been running through my mind. I've been trying to come up with If I'm gonna run fifth edition again, because I have that 1 to 20 game that's like floating out there in the ether. If I ever do come back to that, how would I want to do social encounters? Like I kind of want them to be the opposite of combat encounters. I want them to be fast. I don't want it to slow down time. I want it to speed it up. I
Hmm.
don't want to get into, well, my character says this, or have a conversation between DM and player unless that's what they really want to do. What I'd rather do is do some sort of like modified encounter in a way we don't typically think of them, if
Yeah,
that
I
makes any
think
sense.
kind of hodgepodging together the rules as written. I think my default instinct in that would be like, okay, we're talking to this guy now. Okay, what's your goal?
Mm-hmm.
What leverage do you have? Well, I don't have any leverage. I'm like, okay, well then, he says no. All right,
Right.
moving on. Like, if
Yeah.
you have some leverage, be like, okay, well, his attitude, he seems pretty wary of you. And then, you can use that leverage or whatever to try and make some kind of roll. And then, okay, attitude's better. Now, what's your ask?
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, no, he's not going to let you buy. But he's like, I change shifts in 10 minutes and I just don't want this on me. We've talked about this before. The
We
guard.
have.
The
We
guard
have.
doesn't say, yes, you may walk right by me. He's like, hey, the dude after me is a total fuck up and I hate him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what you want to do with that, but you should probably clear on out of here.
Right. Right. And there's other things in role-playing games that I don't know how to do or do well. I don't know. I've never put on a suit of armor in my life. I've swung a sword, but not with any kind of expertise. So it's not, so I can abstract all of that shit with a roll. I can take damage through hit points and I can make attack rolls and I can make damage rolls, but like I don't know the first thing about any of that. And that's all been abstracted into these roles. And social is also getting abstracted into roles, but the outcomes are the unrealistic part. And the outcomes are created by those perceptions that you've just described. And
Mm-hmm.
it makes me wonder, what if we took a social encounter in Dungeons and Dragons and made it slightly different so that it felt more like a social encounter,
Yeah.
like a game of poker essentially. Like what if you started with um what if you start a social encounter and let's just say it's between game mother and player, right? Each side rolls 3 rolls. You keep 2 to yourself and then you have to reveal 1. And then you get like an exchange of like, well, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. These are the points I make. This is how I say it. And then you pick up one of your dice, one of your rolls, um, and get ready to use it. And then the GM essentially does the same thing.
Isn't
Well,
there you backed Draw Steel, right? On
yeah,
Kickstarter?
but I haven't had a chance to look at it. Do they do this with Draw Steel?
They have like a pretty cool social
Oh, nice. I
interaction
got to check this out.
system. Yeah, they were talking about it on Mastering Dungeons. It was pretty cool. And one of the things they mentioned too, speaking of Mastering Dungeons, when we were talking about combat in the
Yeah.
4E context, is they were saying one of the things that they remembered from play, and I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about this when we talked 4E, is that at a certain point, people just forgot to narrate what they were doing. They were just like, yeah, I do a blast in a 15-foot cone and it shifts people 5 people. And that kind of sucked some of the life out of it because you
Oh, it
should be
totally
like,
does.
I throw a wave of fire from my hands and he tumbles before the blaze. Like that makes it cool, like
Mm-hmm.
to get that narrative. And I think if you if you like go for more complexity on a social system, especially in the context of 4E, the same thing would be likely to happen. That you're just like, I make a cunning argument and I shift him 5 feet, I
So
shift
do
him
you think
three
that's how it
scares
would
up
roll?
the
If that's how it
matrix.
would play out?
If you gave it a whole lot of mechanical teeth,
Well, I'm not
like
looking to give it a whole lot of mechanical teeth. Now I really want to check out Draw Steel.
this has been the Jaunty Mantis. We are lucky to have Matt back with us and looking forward to doing more episodes with him in the future. If you liked what you heard or saw, feel free to like our video, comment below, subscribe, leave us a review on whatever podcasting service you picked us up on. And if you have a creative question, because you're a curious gamer, drop that at jauntymantis@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, but keep it brief. And yeah, until next time.
Keep playing those fucking role-playing games.
Or don't. Mantis out!